Good morning on July 4th. Happy Independence Day. It's a beautiful day. And then what a game we saw last night to kick off our amazing Saturday. Cape Verde. Cape Verde. I mean, just incredible. We're going to get into that first. Fernando, how are you doing today?
Doing great, George. Happy 4th of July, 250th birthday of America. What a day today. And hopefully,
America's old.
yeah, yep, we're very
And
old.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we'll get into Portugal, Argentina, talk about how they barely survived. And then we will get into round of 16 predictions with the round of 16 starting today. But first, we got to give our flowers to Cape Verde. Cape Verde, I mean, real quick, give them a round of applause. I mean, incredible, incredible performance from a country of 500,000 people. And they showed a stat. Argentina's over 40 million. The population's over 40 million. Cape Verde is 500,000. And you saw it in the stands last night. Cape Verde had a small box of fans, and everybody else in that stadium was Argentina. And I just look before we even get into the soccer aspect of things, you just gotta talk about how monumental this is for Cape Verde, and how much of the world that they represent. Like Cape Verde wasn't just playing for their country; they were playing for all the small countries who've never been to the World Cup, who've never had the opportunity to play on the biggest stage, who feel like getting to this stage is impossible because they are too small. They don't have the professional talent. I mean, you're talking about guys who they got off of LinkedIn for this team, and to come out and compete, David versus Goliath, and go punch for punch. Argentina scores first, and you're like, man, like the Cinderella run's going to end here. They say not so fast. Boom. They score 2 megs. They had 2 megs on that goal, the first goal they scored. Boom, boom. They get it on the board. They tie the game up. Then Argentina comes back, punches again. You're like, 2-1. It looks like it's not gonna happen. Then one of the greatest goals I've ever seen in World Cup history. And if they had won that game, I probably would have called it the greatest goal ever at the World Cup. What a goal by Cabral. Top corner, ties the game up. And then Argentina, ping pong ball in the corner, and it gets in the back of the net, and that ends the story. But Fernando, like, what are your thoughts on this Cape Verde team? Because for me, they mean so much, just not just to this World Cup, but to the world. They represent every underdog, and that story, like, people wanted to see it continue, and I wanted to see it continue, and they deserve to win that game last night. But what are you taking away from that Cape Verde performance?
I mean, Cape Verde, what a story. I mean, you said it yourself. Half a million population. They recruited most of their players through LinkedIn. And then also, I mean, they went toe to toe against three world champions, Spain, Uruguay, and Argentina. And you said it yourself. This team did not back down. They went down 1-0. They they tied the game. They went down 2-1 in extra time. They came back. This team never died. They always fought back. That was the thing that just impressed me so much about last night. We were talking about how is Cap Verde gonna make this game competitive. I was talking about this about 2 days ago. I told you they were gonna have to play very defensively. They would have to be. They would have to play park the bus. They were gonna have to. They were not gonna get many chances. And you know what? Argentina did a good job in breaking them down. But you know what? Cap Verde had heart. They had an identity. They found a way to always never give up. It felt like I was watching the Rocky movie all over again, where Rocky is Cap Verde, the underdog. No one gives them a chance. And then Apollo is Argentina. And then Rocky had his chance to win the fight, but then Apollo won on decision. But at the end of the day, Rocky won the hearts of the people, despite Apollo winning the fight. That's exactly what happened last night. Argentina may have won the game, but Cap Verde won the hearts of everybody around the world. 2.7 billion people saw that game last night. Trust me, we're never gonna forget this Cap Verde team ever, because what they did during this
Yep.
World Cup is nothing short of legendary. But seeing
Yep.
yeah, everybody, it may suck to you that you are eliminated, but you know what? You made your country proud. You're promise you right now, you are forever on the map. We will never forget you. And hats off to you guys because that's an underdog story, and that shows that small countries can dream big.
Yep. No, listen, it's funny you mentioned the Rocky thing. I was talking to my dad this morning about the game. He mentioned the same thing. He made the same analogy. Like it literally felt like Rocky. And you're right. Rocky won the hearts of the people, and Cape Verde did that. Outside of that stadium with all those Argentinian fans, the world was rooting for Cape Verde. Everybody was rooting for them to win that game. And it was just it really it means so much more than just football. Honestly, like it's incredible to watch. And you're talking about again the World Cup defending champs, and you're right, they didn't look outmatched. You're talking about the difference in talent and quality, but Cape Verde on the field looked like they were there with them toe to toe the whole game. Cape Verde didn't look like they were scared. They didn't look like they didn't belong. And every time they had an opportunity on the counter, they developed a good offensive play and they scored, right? They scored when they needed to score. And the belief, and even when they went down 3-2 with 10 minutes left, like full sprints from all over the field. There's no tired legs. It was, and sometimes you see these teams, oh man, they look like they're out of it, right? Mentally, they gave up a late goal and it's over. But they had a great free kick. They were sprinting. They were pressing high. Argentina did not possess the ball because Cape Verde was pressing so high. And it was just really incredible. And I have to give credit to coaching too. The men did an incredible job. And the one thing I noticed last night that I had been begging teams to do against Argentina is block off the middle of the field. Where is Messi most dangerous? The top of the box in the middle of the field. And last night, when you watched the game, Messi scored, but it was a ball over the top. And other than that, Messi was pretty quiet, other than the corners. And they did a fantastic job of cutting out. No other team this tournament has been able to do it this play Argentina. They cut out the middle of the field and they didn't let anybody come in the middle and they kept an eye on Messi the whole time. And ultimately they had a chance to win this game. So again, like from the managing to players, just an incredible performance that's never going to be forgotten. And my dad even said he was like that might be the greatest game I've ever watched ever in all of sports history in my lifetime. Like that game right there between Cape Verde and Argentina, and that story and those underdogs, like that might be the best performance ever that I've ever seen. And I was like, you know what? I agree. You talk about the greatest comebacks and the greatest miracles. You talk about 1980 Miracle on Ice for Team USA, but that's the U.S. is a big country, right? You talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers coming back from down 3-1 in the NBA Finals, never happened before. Yeah, but those are NBA players. That's LeBron James on the other side. That's Kyrie Irving. That's Kevin Love, right? But then you're talking about Cape Verde, right? I mean, it's Cape Verde, a team made up of LinkedIn players, a 40-year-old goalie, a small island nation against Argentina, one of the greatest soccer countries of all time, right? Perennial talent, world-class players, the whole stadium, fans from everywhere coming to watch Argentina play, and you have a small box. Like it's storybook. It's storybook. There needs to be a documentary on this team because this is absolutely incredible. And they drew 3 games and they lost. The only game they lost came in extra time in the 112th minute where they gave up their final goal. It's just incredible, incredible performance, and it's something that people are never going to forget, like you said. And they have so much to be proud of. And I love, after the game, I loved how like Vecino was going up and picking up all his teammates. He's like, I don't want anyone down. I don't want anyone's chin down. Like we performed, we played well. We deserve to win this game. Like let's not sit here and be upset. Like we did more than anyone thought we were going to do, right? And they even said like they didn't make it because the World Cup was expanded. They finished second in their group. They earned their spot, right? It wasn't handed to them. They earned their spot in the knockouts, and it was incredible. And Argentina, like, well, I guess we can shift now to that aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's just
But I was
lucky.
gonna
It
say
was a
too.
massive bullet.
I mean, if you're a FIFA today, you look like geniuses today because I think a lot of people criticized them about expanding the tournament from 32 teams to 48. But this is the thing. If that expansion didn't happen, we would have never seen this Cap Verde team in the World Cup. And I have to give a lot of massive props to FIFA for expanding the tournament because I think this tournament has been significantly better since we expanded it. And we would have never seen the stories of Cap Verde, the Congos, the underdogs of winning all of our hearts. So massive props to FIFA because they made this tournament better since the expansion.
No, I agree. And I think people thought there were going to be blowouts because they expanded it and there were going to be weaker teams, but it has not been the case at all. Every team has been competitive. Yeah, there were a couple games here and there that have been blowouts, but across the board, it's been a super competitive World Cup. And shifting to Argentina before we get to Portugal, I mean, Argentina dodged a massive bullet last night. Again, they get the goal in the 29th minute with Messi, and look, Argentina did not put their foot on the gas. It felt like they possessed. It felt like they were in control of the game, but again, they left Cape Verde in it, and it's one of those situations where you're thinking, Argentina as a team, are they really that good? Are they really that good? Let's just call it the way it is, right? Messi is a great player. Messi is their system right now. Messi's their system. Without Messi, I think this team is pedestrian, right? And the reality is, are you going to be able? Like, look, now they played Egypt. They're going to beat Egypt, right? Most likely they'll beat Egypt. Anything can happen, but you expect them to beat Egypt, and they're lucky that this is their path because if they had been playing anyone else, they probably would have lost that game right now. So I will say this: like Argentina needs to play better. It could serve as a wake up call, and maybe this gets them going the rest of the tournament. But again, they're not gonna. They if they play like that, they're not gonna beat Colombia. They're not gonna beat England or Brazil, and they will not beat France or whoever's in the final. That's just not gonna happen. And they got extremely lucky last night that they won that game.
I couldn't agree more, George. I mean, we talked about how good Cap Verde is, but also we have to talk about how Argentina, why we're talking about Argentina as well. As we saw at the end of the game in extra time, we saw Argentina literally almost dead. They were literally begging for the game to be over because they were really tired. And you have to give Cap Verde all the credit because they tired out so much the Argentinians. They were struggling to survive that game. You could tell that who had the most fitness and who didn't. It was Cap Verde by light years away who had the most fitness. But this is the thing that bothered me a lot last night. Well, Cap Verde did one of their greatest underdog games ever. The reason we're talking about Cap Verde is because Argentina didn't take them seriously. I feel like I was watching that game and I feel like they were possessing the ball too much. They weren't trying to break them down defensively. Like I feel like they didn't take Cap Verde that seriously, and that's why when Cap Verde scored that goal, that's when they were trying to turn it on. But you know what?
Yep.
The Cap Verde was doing their job. They were making saves. They were not letting Argentina get the space on the width. Messi, you said it best. They were blocking the middle, so Messi didn't have the space to shoot the ball with his left. Like they were doing everything they had to do to keep Argentina in
Yep.
check. And I think it was like I just feel like we wouldn't be having this conversation if Argentina didn't take if Argentina took Cape Verde more seriously than they should have. And this is the thing. While Argentina survived, and I mean with the skin of their teeth, they could have easily lost that game. But this is the thing too. Let's not forget Argentina last World Cup had to go through the same thing against Australia. They won 2-0. They were up 2-1-0. Then Australia scored a goal, and then they had to literally stay, and then they survived by the skin of their teeth because Emiliano Martinez made an amazing save. And same thing, he did the same thing against Cap Verde. He made an amazing save on that free kick. So I think we saw Argentina do the same thing 4 years ago, and they got better from it. So I would not be surprised if we see Argentina get better from what happened. And this is a lot of credit also goes to Argentina. The crowd was against them. Everybody was rooting for Cap Verde. I think, but they showed last night the mental strength of a champion. Champions don't win that. If champions win that game because of their mental strength. Argentina showed that mental strength a lot last night. They never let them get the moment. They always were ready for the moment. They never let Cap Verde get the momentum. They always found a way. That's what good teams do. They find a way to win even when they don't play well. And you have to give a lot of credit to Argentina. They did that. They found a way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give credit to Argentina for being mentally tough, but at the same time, like I just have to call it the way it is. You're playing in Miami. The crowd is essentially 99% Argentinian fans. Yeah, outside the stadium, so people are rooting for Cape Verde, but it's loud for them. They're cheering for them. And look, Cape Verde again. You want to talk about them taking it easy. I think Cape Verde was a lot to give credit. They have a lot of credit that's deserved for them because they blocked off the middle of the field. They took out the passing lanes for Argentina, and Argentina did try to get on the board. They pushed the ball up. They tried to go out wide, but it didn't work. And I think a lot of it's because of Cape Verde's formation and tactics, and that's why Argentina struggled. And again, I just yeah, Argentina won this game, and they punched back every time that Cape Verde had a response. But again, I was really not impressed. And again, if Argentina was in any other part of this bracket, I think they would be in trouble because that was just not a good enough performance. And now, yeah, you play Egypt, who you're probably going to beat. And then honestly, Colombia is probably the best option for them compared to everyone else who's going to be in the quarterfinals because they're probably not going to beat anyone else. So again, they are lucky right now to be where they are. Um, And they again, I told someone else who's a huge Argentina fan. I'm like, they should win. They should win this quarter. They should get to the final. Like that. This should be what happens for Argentina, considering how soft their group is, their quarter is. Like it's just the truth. And if they don't do that, that's going to be a failure. And if they had lost the game last night, that would have gone down as the worst loss in World Cup history by anybody
Remember.
ever. So again, like they're really lucky because the narrative, okay, yeah, they survived, they won. You want to talk about Argentina's toughness, great. But if that game ends any other way, that goes to PKs and they lose, then Argentina is getting flamed this morning because that was not a good performance. And I don't really care how if you scored 2 or 3, 4 goals, you would have lost that game. So, look, Argentina got lucky. I think they're going to beat Egypt because it's Egypt, and Egypt again,
Yeah.
like is not exactly world class talent. But the longer this tournament goes on, if they play like that, they're not beating anybody, and they should. They should be able to get to the final.
And also, this is the thing. Let's see how Argentina responds after this because 120 minutes can take tolls on the bodies of these players. Let's see how
Yeah,
Let's see how a Messi like a 39-year-old Messi responds. Let's see how these old generation players from Argentina respond because I can promise you right now, today they are very, very tired and they're gonna have to find a way to recover in less than before Tuesday. It's not they don't have that
yeah,
much time to recover. So that's another thing I'm very interested to see how from Argentina. How do you recover from what was a mentally and emotionally draining game? Let's see how they
yeah,
respond. But yeah,
yeah,
we cannot. Yeah, we like that was not good from Argentina. They were very close to probably having the biggest humiliation in World Cup history. And I
yep,
mean, yeah, they got to get better from this. They probably will. And like I said again, this happened 4 years ago, and they went on to win the World Cup. I'm not saying they're going to win the World Cup, but I'm saying that I think they're going to get better after this happened because now they realize, look, if Cap Verde took us to the brink, we cannot take an Egypt too lightly. We have to take everyone seriously. So I think they get
yeah,
better from this, but Argentina needs to play much better, and they cannot take their opponent too
yeah,
lightly anymore because we learned that last night. Every team is in this knockout stage for a reason. They made it because they're good enough to make it there. So they got to play
yeah.
better, and they got to find a way to mentally and emotionally recover from this game.
Yeah, no, it better serve as a wake up call because they cannot perform like that again. Moving on to the other game, I'd say of the knockout stage that was just incredible and back and forth was Portugal Croatia. Again, I think when people saw this game on the bracket, they thought to themselves, yeah, this is going to be a good game. But man, did that like the first half? You watch the first half, and you're like, yeah, that was just it was sort of a sleepy half. Not much was going
Bad.
on. Portugal had some chances. Bruno Fernandes again, bro, had a chance that he could have put away and he didn't, which is becoming consistent in this tournament. But anyways, you go to the half 0-0. You come out and Croatia immediately punches. Immediately gets on the board. Perisic literally all the time in the world to line that shot up, and he put it right in the back of the net. And then all of a sudden, Portugal is just sitting there in shock. And you know, Roberto Martinez, very, very interesting the way he responded because he put on, you shot me a message about this. He put on 4 subs at the same time, and he took out his best player. Essentially, he took out Vitinha, he took out Bruno Fernandes, and he put in a second striker with Gonzalo Ramos, and he put in, I don't, bro, honestly, I, I honestly didn't understand it at all. And it just sort of messed up the rhythm of the game. And look, I'm not look at the end of the day it worked. So I'm not gonna sit here and say Roberto Martinez made a mistake because at the end of the day, Gonzalo Ramos scored the game winning goal. And look, I would have put in Gonzalo Ramos at some point too. But again, I think the 4 subs at the same time, if you watch that game, Portugal lost all of its midfield. Like Croatia was absolutely dominating. And after the penalty, especially, like, okay, Portugal he makes the subs. Portugal gets the pen, right? And Ronaldo steps up and knocks it down. I think everyone expected him to do that because if anyone wants, listen. If it was me and I have someone taking a penalty, I'm going to do Ronaldo, right? Like there's just a confidence that he's going to make it. But then after that, it was all Croatia, and he had to take off Ronaldo and put in Ruben Neves because the midfield was struggling, absolutely struggling. So he put in Neves to settle down what was happening because Croatia had the ball the whole time. And then Portugal eventually, Gonzalo Ramos with 3 Croatian defenders around him, somehow gets a head on the ball and puts it in the back of the net. And then there's the crazy drama at the end with the ball barely touching the Croatian player's head. And then that wasn't a goal because it was offsides. So, look, what a crazy game. Portugal survived. Like, what were your takeaways? Was What does it say about Portugal's squad? Do you have any confidence in them moving forward? And even Croatia, man. Like, what were your thoughts on their toughness to keep fighting throughout this game?
I mean, we talked about this 2 days ago. I mean, you can never doubt this Croatia team, even though they always do this. They always don't
For
play
real.
well in the group stage, and in the
Yep.
knockout stage, they just turn up a gear. I mean, they made it to the final in
Yep.
2018. They got third place in the 2022 World Cup, and then again, we didn't think this Croatia team was good. We didn't think they were gonna make a run, and then they pushed a good Portugal team to the brink. They had a 1-0 lead, and they could have easily won this game as well. And I mean, you have to give hats off to Roberto Martinez too, because he knew something wasn't working and he made subs and they worked. They
Yeah.
absolutely worked. And I mean, my takeaway was big takeaway is that we still need to see Portugal at its best. I think we still haven't seen it at this tournament, and they're
Yep.
gonna have to play significantly better if they want to have any shot of beating Spain. Because Spain, I feel like they finally clicked into gear after that Austria game. I feel like if Portugal doesn't get together, that this could end ugly for them. But I think a lot of this, I think we learned a lot is that I think r- I think Portugal can actually play better without Ronaldo, because you said it best. They took him out and they still looked even when Ronaldo scored the penalty, Croatia was dominating the game. Like the midfield was completely dominated by Croatia. They had all the chances. They were on the attack, and then Roberto Martinez said, "You know what? I know it's Ronaldo, but something has to change, and I have one more sub. Like I have to find a way to send this to survive this game out." And he took out Ronaldo for Ruben Neves, and he put Gonzalo Ramos as the striker. And since that in that moment, the moment that happened, Portugal finally got control of the game. They were finally on the attack. They had control of the midfield. Like they found a way to swing the game in their momentum again. And that's the thing I think a lot of people need to take away. I think this Portugal team can actually be a really good team with Ronaldo on the bench, because they looked much better playing without Ronaldo than with him, because they didn't create many chances. Ronaldo barely touched the ball. The only time we really saw him play was the penalty. Other than that, we didn't see him do much. And then we took him out, and they finally controlled the midfield. They were finally going to the attack. And then Gonzalo Ramos, I told you this about this guy. He finds a way to make an impact. He always finds a way. He did it at PSG, and he's doing it. He did it again with Portugal. He swung the game in their control. Finally found the control they needed to win this game, and they did it. And they did it. They found a way to win. And I gotta feel for Croatia. They tied the game. You thought we were going extra time again, and then it was ruled for offside because the guy touched the ball. And on replay, it doesn't look like the guy touched the ball, but since the ball has technology, you can see that there was a touch on the ball, and that's why we're here talking about Portugal and not Croatia. But I have to give a lot of credit to Portugal for fighting back, because they could have easily given up. They could have like said this is over, but they found a way to win the game, and now you get another chance against Spain, but they have to play much better.
Look, I agree with a lot with what you said. Look, if I was Roberto Martinez, I would have made the same substitution. Like, let me make that clear. I'm a Ronaldo fan. I would have made the same substitution. I would have taken him out and put in a midfielder. My one criticism is, like, you again, the reason he had to take Ronaldo out was because he took out too many midfielders and there was no midfield there. So Portugal, I understand your point about them being a good team without him, but they didn't lose control of that game because Ronaldo wasn't playing well. It's because he took out Vitinha, he took out Bruno Fernandes, and he essentially put in Gonzalo Ramos and more attacking players without putting anyone to possess the ball in the middle of the field. Like, that's the reason they lost control. And look, again, I would have taken Ronaldo out because you had to take somebody out to put in a midfielder, and he just put on Gonzalo Ramos 20 minutes before. So, like, if you're gonna take out one of the two strikers, you got to take out the one who's played more minutes. So I completely agree with that. But again, Gonzalo Ramos, he came in. I mean, the one touch he had was the header. Like, that was literally, he had one touch in the 25 minutes, and it was the header, and it was a fantastic goal. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. But again, I don't think it was. oh, Ronaldo didn't play well, and that's the reason Portugal lost control. And then all of a sudden, Portugal turned it on, and then they were able to win. I think again, Roberto Martinez, yeah, he gets credit. He put in Gonzalo Ramos, but if you're gonna make that sort of sub, like put him in full Ronaldo. Don't mess with the midfield like that and take out two of your best midfielders who possess the ball and not put in players to take that spot. Because you did that and Croatia had all the momentum and Portugal had no offensive opportunities because there's nobody on the attack. Literally nobody. That was the major issue there. And they survived and Gonzalo Ramos got the goal. And it's nice to know, honestly, it's nice to know you have a guy like Gonzalo Ramos on the bench who look, he's not exactly a superstar striker, but he can come in and he plays well. He plays well sometimes. You know, he has good touch. Sometimes he scores some world class goals. And so it's definitely nice to have him on the bench for sure. And like, look, I like the two striker thing he went to with Ronaldo and Gonzalo Ramos, but you have to have proper midfields for that to work, and he didn't do that. So he panicked a little bit, but look, he at the end of the day, Roberto Martinez is going to get the credit because I, look, he made it happen. They won the game. Portugal survived. They beat Croatia. Barely. Again, Croatia. You know, people say like, "Oh, Croatia is not the same team. Portugal struggled." Listen, Croatia has been top four in back-to-back World Cups. Like, let's just let's not forget that. Like, Croatia is a great World Cup team. I don't care who's playing, right? They're coached the right way and they play amazing on the biggest stage. It's just the truth. So now they play Spain. They beat Spain not too long ago in the Nations League final. Ronaldo scored in that game. They went to penalties. They beat Spain in pens. So look, it's going to be a crazy game. It's going to be a crazy game. It's definitely the best world. It's best. It's definitely the best round of 16 game that we have. And again, whoever wins this game, you have to expect that they're going to be the favorite against USA or Belgium, and then they're probably going to get France if France wins today and gets to the semis. So this is a huge game, and it's one of those massive disappointments for whoever loses between Portugal and Spain because it's two of the favorites. And look, I don't want to predict it because until later at least because it makes me nervous. Spain's a great team. Portugal hasn't played their best soccer yet, but I think if you come out and dude, Rafa Leao, bro. Like I've never met anybody who can look so bad for parts of the game and then somehow have a absolutely insane cross to win the game. Like he needs to play more consistently, and he needs to work a little bit harder dropping back on defense because the one thing with Portugal that's weak, and I don't know if you agree with this, is their defense. They are really
I
soft in
agree.
the back. And I don't know how with Nuno Mendes and Cancelo with all that speed and Ruben Diaz and Vega, but they are soft. And it's so obvious when teams come on the counter like Croatia, there's so much space. I don't know how there is so much space to play with. It feels like they're playing a man down. So, real quick, like what do you think of Portugal's defense and how do they like fix this? Because that is in my opinion, that's the worst part of their team right now.
It's gonna be really hard because I guess I've because they haven't found a replacement for Pepe since he retired. Like
Yeah.
he was the backbone and leader of that defense, and they haven't found it. So it's gonna be really hard to like fix the problem because I really don't see anyone on that team today that can replace what Pepe did. And it's gonna be and also you said it yourself. I honestly think the only good defender on that defense is Nuno Mendes because he brings pace to the left back. He creates the runs. He does what a left back should do. And Joe Cancelo, he's all right. Like he was in his prime in Man City, but now that's gone. In Barcelona, he's done his job, but I don't think he's that good enough to be that difference maker he was at Man City. And honestly, like Ruben Diaz is good, but he's very slow. And Vega, like he's all right, but he's young and he hasn't done what he's supposed to do. But I don't think there's
Right.
I don't think there's a fix for this defense because honestly, it's not. There's no one on the bench who can like make a difference in the defense. So they're really going to be up for the test against Spain. They're going to have to play better. Honestly, like I think Nuno Mendes has to have the game of his life against Spain because in the Nations League we were talking about how much Lamine Yamal was going to eat him up, and he just made
Yep.
him look invisible in the Nations League. He's going to have to do the same thing
Yep.
on Monday because Lamine Yamal is going to be ready for this. He's going to play. He's going to try to play well, especially after what happened with Austria. So Nuno Mendes has to
Yep.
play amazing. Keep Lamine Yamal quiet because Spain's offense runs through Lamine Yamal. So
Yep.
if Nuno Mendes can keep Lamine Yamal quiet, I honestly think Portugal has a good shot of pulling off the upset.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nuno Mendes is going to be huge in this game, and he was huge in the Nations League final, and he scored a goal, and he was absolutely incredible in that game. And they need that kind of performance from him. And something I really liked this past game was, they started to have Nuno Mendes advance and have Leao play behind him. Like Nuno Mendes would dribble up the line, give it to Leao, and he would overlap. And it almost felt like Nuno Mendes was the attacking player, and Leao was playing behind him and had the ability to cut into the middle. So I really like that. And they have two really fast players on that side of the field. They need to use that more. And you're right. I think Portugal needs to play much better. They need to play much better. Spain, look, if anything gives me a little bit of hope, it's that Spain in World Cups, as of late, has fallen short, right? They have some performances that are not good. And so there is hope for Portugal. But again, whoever wins this game has a good shot of getting to the semis and has a really good chance to make a run here because this is the big test. And Portugal, look, Portugal's been battle tested, right? Colombia, Croatia, even Congo was a good test. You look at them and compare them to Argentina. Argentina hasn't really been tested yet. Cape Verde was their test, and it's Cape Verde. They haven't played a top even 20 team in the tournament yet. Not even top 20. Portugal's already played two top 20 teams, top 10 teams almost. And so I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm excited, man. It's going to be really competitive. Let's get to the round of 16. Today we have two games. First, Canada, Morocco. We'll give our predictions for each game and kind of give you some brief analysis on each. We'll start with them. That's at 1 o'clock. What are you looking forward to in this game? Who do you think is going to win it? What's your score prediction? And do you think it's going to be competitive? Because I don't.
I honestly, I want to say yes because honestly, like we don't know what to expect from Canada. They're honestly,
Yeah.
we didn't expect them to honestly get this far. Some people had them out in the group stage. Some people had them out in the
Yep.
round 32, but they're here. And
Yep.
Canada will have will have the crowd in their favor because honestly, would not be surprised if a lot of Canadians fly to Houston for this game. So they're gonna have home field advantage probably. But and they have good players. They have Jonathan David. They have Alfonso Davis plays. I think they have a better shot than people think because Alfonso, this entire team runs through Alfonso
Yep.
Davis.
Yep.
He is the core and the backbone of this team. Everything runs through
Yep.
him. He's gonna make the runs. He's gonna create the chances. He's gonna do everything for this team. So if Alfonso Davis is
Yep.
healthy today, I honestly think they have a bigger shot than people think. So it will depend a lot on that. But honestly, Morocco, like Morocco is not a joke. They are proving why they made the semifinals 4 years ago. They brought a lot of players back from 4 years ago. They are well constructed defensively. They have a great goalie in Bono, great midfield, Brahim Diaz, Salibier. I mean, such a great team. They are coming off they're coming off a great win against the Netherlands in Mexico. So Morocco has a lot of momentum on their side. So I
Yep.
think Morocco wins this game. I think that it's going to be I think it starts off very slow. I think both teams are going to settle in. I think Canada is going to try to start fast because they know that if they don't start fast, Morocco is going to find their game and they're going to score
Yep.
easily, and then there's no way back for them to get back in this game. So they know that they have to score the first goal because if they don't, Morocco they're going to have to chase the game, and it's going to put them vulnerable on the counter attack. So more for them, they know Canada has to score the first goal. It's a must.
Yep.
But I think Morocco has too much quality that
Yep.
Canada can't outmatch. So I think Morocco wins this game 3-1.
Yeah, look, I think Morocco is going to win this game. Again, like you said, there's just too much talent, too much quality on this Morocco side compared to what Canada has. And I think, yeah, Canada might have the fans behind them, but they are proving again to be a top 5, 6, 7 team in the world. It's just the truth. And they play so structured. They're tough defensively. They hit you in moments where you don't expect to be hit. The attack is efficient. They're effective. And again, I just think Canada doesn't have enough to be able to compete with Morocco. And I'm expecting another deep run here, man. Like, look, we'll talk about what happens if they win this game. But Morocco, I think they win this game. I think they win it. I think it's going to be close. I don't know if it's going to be 3-1. I'm thinking maybe 2-0 Morocco. I think Morocco will keep it. I mean, look, Morocco doesn't blow a lot of teams out because it's just the way they play. But I just don't think Canada has enough to be able to compete. And look, Jonathan David's been a great player this tournament, and obviously Alfonso Davis will be a huge help for Canada. But it's just not enough ultimately. I think Morocco gets through. The next game, 5 o'clock, France, Paraguay. Look, Can Lightning strike twice? They took down Germany. Can they take down France too? I don't think so, but we'll get to that. Fernando, what are your thoughts on this game? What's your prediction?
I mean, Paraguay's here for a reason. They they upset Germany. We can talk
Yeah.
about how poor Germany won, but Paraguay got here because they were mentally tough. They found they were well constructed defensively, and you have to give a lot of credit how this Paraguay team responded after being absolutely blown out of the building against the United States. They've been
Yep.
much
Yep.
better
Yep.
since that game, especially on the defense. So it's gonna be a lot about how Paraguay is on the defense. If you can limit Mbappe, Dembele, and Elise, they have a shot. And also, I think we saw a lot this in the against Turkey and Germany. You have to score the first goal. I think
Yep.
if Paraguay can score that first goal, they will grow into their game. They will finally play their game plan, which is to be very constructive defensively. And and I mean, but I just think there's so much quality on this France team. Olise,
Yep.
Dembele, Mbappe. Like,
Yep.
if you're even managed to shut down one of them will respond. So
Yep.
I just think there's too much quality on this France team. And but also I'll say this: the heat could be a huge factor today. It's very warm here, and Paraguay's more used to that type of weather than France is. So I think Paraguay can play that into their advantage. But like I said before, there's too much quality on this France team. They've been absolutely blowing their opponents out. France
Yep.
should win this game easily. But again, nobody thought Paraguay was going to beat Germany. So
Yep.
nobody thought Cape Verde was going to take Argentina to the brink. The unthinkable has happened at times. So
Yep.
yes, France should win this game, but we cannot rule out Paraguay because we've seen it happen before. And I mean, if they find a way to score that first goal, it could get really tricky for France.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Paraguay, they're here for a reason. Like you said, it's going to take a fantastic performance to even keep it close. Look, the reality is Elise leads the tournament in assists. He has five. Mbappe has 6 goals. Dembele has 4 goals. This attack is no joke. And slowing it down is easier said than done. I don't see it happening. I think France, look, you're right, though. The weather is going to be super hot today, and the hydration break will be needed because it is scorching in Pennsylvania, and Philly is going to be warm, really warm. So again, we'll see how that impacts the game. But France, look, France experience. France is too good. They have too much talent. I don't see Paraguay being able to beat them. Do they keep it close for stretches? Possibly, but I just think France is the talent is too much. The quality just takes over at some points in games, and when you need magical moments, guys like Mbappe, Olise, Dembele they can give it to you. So look, I'm thinking it's going to be, man, if they're lucky, they'll get a goal on the board. But I'm gonna say 2-0 France. I think Paraguay will keep it close. And I think France with the Heat, again, at the end of the day, it's one of those games where, people are going to be gassed. And I just think France will win. They'll get out of it 2-0 and they'll be comfortable. And they'll move on to play Morocco. And we'll get to that some later episode. That'll be a fantastic game. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
we have a showdown. Two showdowns, really. Two fantastic games. First, Brazil and Norway. Brazil, the perennial contender, versus Norway, the dark horses. What are your thoughts on this game? Because I think this game has the potential to be arguably the greatest in the tournament, but we'll see.
What a game that'll be. I mean, we have Brazil, one of the perennial favorites in the World Cup, one of the best
Yep.
countries to ever play in this tournament. They have a lot of quality in Vinicius Jr. Um, they also have great defense in Gabriel, great goalkeeper. They have the talent all over the board.
Yep.
And Norway, they're winning our hearts in this tournament too. I mean, their fans, everything about this Norway team is just so much fun. Holland, I mean, this will be a great game, and they played in this stadium in MetLife, so and they're gonna have the home crowd, and I think there are gonna be a lot of Norway fans at this game. So I think that's gonna help them a lot. And I feel like Norway plays well when the fans rally with them because I feel like I've
Yep.
seen that whenever they start doing their biking row and everything they do whenever like they need something, Norway needs something, they always like rally around it. So it's
Yep.
gonna be a great game. Heat's gonna be a factor again. I think like we're
Yep.
gonna in the next 2 days, he's gonna be a huge factor. But I honestly think at the end of the day, I think Brazil wins this game. It's gonna be close, but I think there's gonna be that one moment where one of those two players, either Holland or Vinicius, is gonna have to make a magic moment. And I just feel like there's so much quality around Brazil than there is with Norway. I feel like there's more star power
Yep.
on Brazil and than Norway. And I feel like there's gonna be a needed magic moment. And I think the team around Vinicius Jr. is gonna help Brazil win this game more than it's gonna help Norway.
Yeah, look, I think it's gonna be close. I really do. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have pens. I think it has pens written all over it. I think we're going to penalties. I think it's gonna be that close. I think Brazil has more talent across the board, but Norway is just again, other than that France game where they sort of played their B team, Norway has been tough. They've been tough and they've been up to the challenge. So I got penalties. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a fantastic game. Holland, Vinny, both guys were trying to go for the golden boot. Look, I'm not. I don't want to make a prediction in penalties because it's all luck. It's all luck in what happens. I think Brazil
Mhm.
squeaks by. I think Brazil barely gets by, and I think Norway's run ends here. But I'm going to tell you right now, I would not be surprised if Norway wins this game because Brazil has had some stinkers in in recent World Cups where it just doesn't come together. So again,
Another
Brazil needs to be on the lookout.
another reason I'm gonna take Brazil is because of Carlo Ancelotti. That guy is a
Yeah,
great,
yeah,
great coach, and he proved against Japan
yep,
like why he's one of the greatest managers to ever do it. Japan dominated the first half, absolutely dominated
yep,
Brazil, and Carlo Ancelotti knew something wasn't right. He made changes. And you
yep,
know what? I respect him. He never took Casemiro out. Casemiro looked dead and lost in the first half of that game. But Carlo Ancelotti never gave up on him. And Casemiro
yep,
tied the goal. He brought in Gabriel Martinelli on. He did everything right,
yep,
tactically wise. So I just think Carlo Ancelotti will play his tactics right. And I think whenever Brazil
yep,
whenever the momentum is swinging in Norway's way, I think Carlo Ancelotti, you can never doubt Carlo Ancelotti. He will always find a way to make the adjustments, fix the tactics, or and make the subs. I just think that Carlo Ancelotti will play a huge factor into determining
yep.
the winner of this game.
I agree. I think the manager plays a huge role in this too, and I think Brazil does have the advantage when it comes to that. So I do think Brazil has that in their favor. But again, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, Brazil. This is no easy match, and I see penalties written all over it. Next up, I know you'll be watching this game. Mexico and England. Man, what a fantastic game. I'm excited, and I think look, I'm smelling upset. I like the matchup from Mexico. I like it's listen, they have the advantage, the altitude, the fans, it's gonna be loud and nasty. Look, I want to hear what your thoughts are because you're the fan here. I'm just the outside voice. And I'll give you my prediction. Let me see what you got to say first.
Well, I think this is the game of the round 16. Honestly, like there's so much history. The Azteca. England hasn't played in the Azteca since Maradona's famous hand of God. That was the last time we saw England at the Azteca. They've only played once in World Cup history, and it was in like in 1966. You can correct me if that's wrong, but point being is they've only faced each other once time in World Cup history, and other times have been in friendlies. The last time they faced each other was in 2010 in Wembley. So like this team may not have faced each other, but both teams have so much history. This is gonna be fireworks, especially at the Azteca because it's the cathedral of soccer. So much history, the crowd, the altitude, everything about it is just written. It's just right. It's just literally we're in for a thriller tomorrow night. And then we also heard
Yeah.
like they were trying to change the timing of the kickoff of the game because of the weather.
Yep.
There were so many things that like reasons to take into account on why they were trying to change the game. But I'm glad they didn't because I honestly think this game should be at 8 p.m. and keep it even if it gets delayed. I think it should stay at that time. But as far as Brazil and England,
Yeah, look, I think we lost Fernando here for a bit. He'll be back here shortly.
I think Brazil.
Hopefully oh, there he is. He's back. There we go. Continue, Fernando.
Okay. But Mexico has a great shot of winning this game. They're gonna have the home crowd. They have the altitude advantage, and for me, it's like I feel like England is very, very scared to go to the
For sure.
Azteca. Like they're trying. Like I don't know if you heard, but
Yeah.
like they booked 15 hotels because they didn't want the Mexican fans to find. the hotel so they can keep them up the entire night. Like they are that scared of going to Mexico, and they're trying to like find ways to adjust to the altitude. Like, am I okay to mentioning this? Like they're trying to like take Beetlejuice. They're trying to like drink as much caffeine as possible. They even like rumors that they might take Viagra because like they're trying to find ways to like get used to the altitude. Like there's I feel like England is really really scared to go to this game, and I just feel like Mexico has all the advantage in the world to win this game. I feel England has all the talents. They have that difference maker Harry Kane, but Mexico has the fans. They have the Azteca. They have the altitude. They have everything in their favor. But I just think the quality in England is too much. I think England wins this game.
You got me cracking up over here, bro. You got me cracking up. I can feel England is scared now. I can feel it. I didn't hear any of those reports, but listen, I'm glad you brought them to the table. Look, listen, I have faith in your Mexico. I know you don't, but I have faith. I think Mexico wins this game. I think they win it 2-1 in regulation. I think Mexico pulls it out. England, look, again, you're right. The last time they played in the World Cup was 1966. England won 2-0. It's time for Mexico to get their get back. And I'm telling you right now, Mexico has the 12th man. Those fans are going to be loud. And if there's any team I'd bet on to be mentally weak, it's England. And I do not think England has enough to go in there and be tough and win this game. And on top of that, on top of all of it, there's so many questions around their manager and who they're starting that there's just a ton of questions. Mexico has the blueprint for how they're going to win this game. England does not. So I think Mexico has the advantage. And I think Mexico goes to the quarterfinals. And I think they pull off this upset. And I'm telling you, it's going to be 2-1. And you better believe. You better believe. I don't know how I'm believing. You're not believing. Let's go. Be a
It's
true
just
fan here, Fernando. Come on.
no, it's just like for me, it's just like it's hard to because like I've seen this story with Mexico. They get to the round of 16 and they always fall short. So like I'll believe it when it happens. Like I said,
Believe
I'm
it.
not saying Mexico has no shot. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I just think England has too much talent on that field that I just feel like there will be that difference maker who will pull out the game for England somehow, some way. And I just feel like it could be Jude Bellingham, it could be Harry Kane. I just feel like that difference make England has that difference maker who
Yeah,
can pull out the game, and Mexico doesn't. Mexico has to score the goal, score the first goal to get the fans in and everything. So if England find the first goal, I think this could get ugly for Mexico. But it's going to be a great game. It's
yeah.
going to be
I,
awesome. I think it's this. I think this will be the game of the round 16. I think this will be the best game. But I mean, I feel like Mexico should have. I agree, Mexico should have hope. But I just feel like England has that difference maker in the end who will pull out this game.
Look, England has, and if you want to say it the way it is, England has better individual players. I'll call it the way it is. I will. But the reality is, Mexico right now is playing as a better team. That's just how I see it. And I think Mexico right now, if they can come together and do what they've been doing, I think they're going to win this game. I have a feeling. I have a feeling. And England, again, England has fallen short before. They've fallen short before.
This is the thing for me that scares me a lot too. How will Mexico respond if they concede first? We haven't seen Mexico
I
play
agree.
from behind. This
I
is the
agree.
thing. Like that's what scares me a lot. If England gets the first goal, how will Mexico respond? And we haven't seen
I
that for
agree.
Mexico because Aguirre likes to play his tactics the way the lead, having the going on the front foot, going on the attack. Like he likes to play his tactics the way they are when he's up. But when they're
Yep.
down, how will Aguirre adjust? And we haven't seen that in this entire tournament. So that's what I think
Yeah.
worries me a lot. If they are down against a team like England, how will Mexico respond?
I agree. I think the first goal in this game is probably the most important of any game, and I think whoever's first will probably end up winning this game because I think if England goes down too early, I think there's going to be some struggle because it's not Congo you're going down to. It's Mexico. So they are a good team. They will be able to hold the lead. Moving on to the next day of games, another fantastic day of games. First, you have Portugal and Spain. Again, in my opinion, this will be the best game of the round of 16. Two teams who are in the top 6 or 7 in the world. Ronaldo, Lamine Yamal, Bruno Fernandes, and just the whole cast of Spain players that they have available. Look, I'm excited. It looks like we lost Fernando here. Hopefully, he comes back and joins us. But look, I'm excited. I think this Portugal Spain game is going to be exciting. I think Portugal has the opportunity to do what they did in the Nations League and bounce back and win. look, they need to bounce back from this Croatia game where they were down, and they need to play from in front because if they go down early against Spain, it's going to be a lot harder for them to recover. But for me to predict this game is difficult because Spain has looked like the better team, as especially recently, especially the way they beat up on Austria. But Portugal is coming off a game where they were battle tested, right? They down early against Croatia 1-0, and then they managed to pull it off and come back and win and score 2 goals. So it's tough to predict. Uh, man, the fan in me wants to say Portugal's going to pull this out and that Ronaldo will score and then it'll be happily ever after. But against Spain is difficult, especially because Spain knows that they can bounce back here and possibly get their revenge for what happened because again losing the Nations League final had to hurt them, right? And so for them it's about coming back to the World Cup and really making sure that they can put their best foot forward and perform at a high level because if they don't, then Portugal has enough talent to come back and win this game. And the real question is going to lie in Portugal's defense again. Because if Portugal's defense can be strong, if Vega can play smart and not turn the ball over, if Ruben Diaz can stay in front, and again, Nuno Mendes, he's the player here's the X factor. Because if Nuno Mendes can keep Lamine Yamal quiet because Lamine Yamal is going to be the key here. He's the key for the Spain offense. If Lamine Yamal ends up getting going and putting balls into the box, that's going to be really dangerous. And so that's why it is so important. It's so important that Portugal finds a way for Nuno Mendes to lock down Lamine Yamal on that side. It looks like we have Fernando back. Fernando, welcome back, man. Technology's but not been nice to us. But
Yeah, it's
before
been
we go to
not
you,
friendly to
I'll
us.
just say before we go to you on this, I'll just say that I think man, I want to say Portugal pulls it out, and I want to say it's going to be maybe 3-2, 3-2 in extra time. I don't know, man. I'm a big Ronaldo guy. I'm a big Portugal fan, but it's hard for me to predict this game without being biased, and I really think it's that close. I really think it's that close. Fernando, what are your thoughts on this game?
Honestly, I agree with I could understand where you're coming from, George. I mean, this should be a close game. I mean, in the Nations League last year, I think a lot of people expected Spain to win that game. Nobody gave Portugal a chance, and they pulled it out. So I think we have to go into the same mindset for this game because I understand Portugal hasn't played their best. They haven't looked good in the tournament, but
Yeah.
it could is this is the thing about the World Cup. You can turn it on in the blink of an eye. Portugal can get into gear in the blink of an eye. And against Spain, they know that if they play as they are playing today, they will not
Yep.
win this game. So I honestly
Yep.
think Portugal will play better. But I finally think that we saw a Spain team finally find its gear against Austria because they destroyed that Austrian team. They were absolutely a dominant from start to finish. They didn't have they Austria didn't have a chance to score a goal at all. Defense
Yep.
locked them down. Midfield controlled the tempo of the game, and the offense took advantage of their chances. It could have been more
Yep.
than 3-0.
I
So
agree.
I think Spain finally found its gear. So if Portugal
Yep.
wants to have any shot at this game, they have to play significantly better. The midfield has to be a billion times better than they have been this entire tournament. Ronaldo's going to
Yep.
have to, whenever he gets the ball and a chance to score a goal, you have to take advantage of it right away. You cannot miss those chances. You have to score them. So if like this game has to go perfect for Portugal, they can pull it off. I'm not saying they can't, but there's so much things
Yep.
that Portugal needs to do perfectly to execute and win this game. I just think it's too much for them to pull off. I just think finally Spain finally found its gear, and then also I think that loss from last year is going to motivate them a lot. They're going to go into this game with the revenge mentality, and that's a dangerous team with that type of mentality. So I honestly think Spain will win this game just because of the quality, and they finally found its gear against in the last game. And Portugal's been playing
Yep.
well, but do not rule it out if Portugal finds a way to win this game.
Look, yeah, I agree. And I think, look, the reality is Spain's the better team in terms of, who has a better chance of winning this World Cup. And if Portugal goes out here, you can't be disappointed. You're going down. You're not losing to Cape Verde. You're not losing to a soft team like Austria. You're losing to one of the favorites to win the World Cup. And if that's how you go out, then you can hold your head high and just have respect because this again, if Portugal never won a World Cup. They're not expected to win a World Cup because look, how many countries? We said 8 countries have won a World Cup before. It's hard to be a new country, a small country, and win a World Cup. It's the truth, and that's why when we get into these debates about how a World Cup impacts your goal legacy, I think it's unfair to Ronaldo because Portugal was nothing before Ronaldo, and Portugal has never won a World Cup because it's hard for smaller countries to win World Cups. It's the truth, right? And so, look for Portugal. A loss here would be devastating. It would obviously might be Ronaldo's last game in his career at the World Cup, but look again, it's a tough game, and you're hoping that Portugal can find a way to squeak it out. Moving on to the final day of games before we get to the trivia question and the show. Two good games. I think not as great as the other games we're going to see in the round of 16. But go ahead.
What about the USA Belgium? Were you not going to mention that game?
Oh yeah, man! I completely forgot about USA Belgium. Look at that. I'm already moving ahead. I'm just expecting a USA win. We don't even need to talk about it. USA Belgium. Yeah, before we even get to the last day of games, we have USA Belgium. What are your thoughts on that game? I think this is a pretty favorable matchup for the US.
I agree. I think this is a pretty favorable matchup for the United States. I mean, Belgium has been very poor, even though they got to the round 16. I mean, they didn't
Yeah,
play well in group stage. They tied against Iran. They tied against Egypt.
yeah,
They destroyed a poor New Zealand team, and they barely survived Senegal. And let me make it clear: you might have won against Senegal, but you didn't win the game because you played better than them. You won the game because you took advantage of their mistakes.
yep,
I mean, the second goal, like, what is the goalkeeper doing? He missed the punching. He missed the punch by a lot, and then you let the guy score an easy header, and then
yeah.
that game was destined for penalties until a penalty was called in the favor of Belgium. So it's not like Belgium has played well in this tournament. They've been
No,
very, very lucky. They've been very poor in my honest opinion. In my opinion, this is the weakest team in the group, and one of the weakest teams in the round 16. And look, the real reason I'm giving them a shot is because how much the United States is going to miss Balogun. I can't even
for sure.
emphasize how much that loss is
Yep,
for the United States. He has been the most important and the best player on the U.S. national team. He's
absolutely,
scored the
absolutely.
goals. He's created the chances. He's
Yep,
taken the load off Christian Pulisic. Like Balogun, I can't emphasize how much that he's meant to the team. So
yep,
honestly, like we're in store for a good game. But even though the United States don't have Balogun,
yep,
the USA is going to win this game. I don't care that you don't
yeah,
have they don't have Balogun. The United States has been playing much better. Pochettino has been coaching well this tournament, and I have to give him props because I think Pochettino is not good of a coach, but he's been coaching the heck out of his team. Absolutely great coaching. You have to give him
yeah,
a lot of credit. And better
yeah,
coach than Rudy Garcia on the Belgian side. So
yeah,
honestly, I think the United States find a way with the home field advantage. I think Pepe is going to play
yeah.
well. I think he's the one who's going to start. Honestly, I think it's going to be close, but I think the United States pulls it out in the end.
Yeah, look, I think the U.S. wins too. Look, Belgium has not looked that great. USA is in better form. And you're right. I think Balogun is a huge loss for them. I mean, he's been their best player, and that's going to hurt. I mean, you're going to feel it at the top. And look, Pepe is decent. Haji Wright is decent. I think they'll use both in this game. But yeah, I just think it's super unfortunate the U.S. has to go into this without their best guy. But again, they are in better form than Belgium is. Belgium is lucky to be here. Senegal blew that game more than Belgium went to win it. So, and it took a penalty in the 125th minute for them to squeeze that out. So I think USA will win this game and set up a matchup for whoever wins that Portugal Spain game. And look, the US, they feel like a Cinderella story in their own way, right? So, yeah, we know a big country, but they just haven't had this success at the World Cup before, and this is a very big opportunity for them and a favorable matchup to go and win this game against an older Belgium side. Now we get to next day's game on Tuesday. With two matchups, again, decent matchups, but not as good as the other one. Start with Argentina and Egypt, and I'm afraid this doesn't need much analysis because I'll tell you right now, Argentina is going to win this game, or they should win this game. And if they don't, that's a huge, huge upset and failure. But what are your thoughts? Um, does Egypt have any chance?
Honestly, I do. This is another. They're playing. Argentina is playing another African team, and we just saw what happened with Cap Verde. They will struggle to keep up with the pace, the fitness of Cap Verde, and that's what I think we're going to see from Egypt. They're going to out. They're going to try to out. They're going to try to be. They're going to try to win on the fitness, on the pace. They're going to try to out tire them.
Yep.
So honestly, like it's one thing about the African teams. They might not be great on quality, but they have the advantage on the fitness, and that's huge in World Cups. You need in
Yep.
order to bring the quality, you need to have the fitness, and I think
Yep.
Egypt has that fitness, but they don't have the quality. If they find a way to get that quality, I think we can be in for a good game against
Yeah.
Argentina. And I think and it's
Yeah.
very important that Mo Salah finally shows up because
Yeah.
he's been invisible in this tournament. It's if he shows up, Egypt has a chance. But I think Argentina is going to take this game much more seriously. They're going to play better, and I think Argentina wins this game.
Yeah, I think Argentina will pull it out. You're right. I think Egypt is going to be physical. If I know anything, Egypt will be physical with this team, and they are not going to be soft on the field. They will make it tough for Argentina. Do I think they have enough quality? They probably have, when you think about it, more quality individually than Cape Verde does. But Cape Verde was just playing great team soccer. So, I mean, again, Egypt went to penalties with Australia. Argentina is way better than Australia is, so they're going to need a better performance out of their squad, and Mo Salah is going to have to show up. But look, if Egypt can be physical, if they can keep it close, anything can happen. Just get the game to the extra time or penalties, and you see that anything can happen. But look, I'm expecting Argentina to win. Maybe a 2-1 Argentina. Again, Argentina hasn't been blowing anybody out, so I'd be shocked if they blew Egypt out. But it'll be tough. It'll be tough. I think Egypt will be.
Yeah,
It'll be. I think Argentina will get through, but I think Egypt will do their best to try to keep the game competitive the whole way. But we'll see what happens. Lastly, Colombia and Switzerland. Maybe a bit of an underrated game here. Switzerland is taking care of business this tournament. Switzerland always seems to play well with Granit Xhaka and Bolo at the top. So again, like Switzerland has been decent. They've been playing well. They have some good results as of late. Colombia has been playing well. They got the one goal last night, and I ended up going to bed after seeing that goal. And I woke up and the score was still 1-0. So I'm like, man, the rest of the game, nothing happened. So Colombia beat Ghana. Ghana's not a bad squad, but you would have expected, I think, Colombia to maybe get a couple more on the board, but they didn't. So I'm interested to see how this turns out. I think Colombia is probably the favorite in this game, but how do you see it?
I agree with you, George. I think Colombia is the favorite. I think there's more quality on this team. They know their roles. They're well defensively constructed. I just
Yeah,
think, and Colombia's been playing really well on this tournament. I understand that they didn't beat Ghana the way they should have, but if you watch that game, they had their chances to win by more than 1-0. They just didn't take advantage, and that's one thing they have to do against Switzerland and improve
yeah,
on. They have to take advantage of their chances because Colombia had missed so many great chances against Ghana, and
yeah,
Colombia could have easily won that game more than 1-0. So Luis Diaz has to play better. The attack has to play better, but I just think they have to do what they did against in this entire time. Be physical, um, play on the front foot, and just absolutely dominate the opponent. And I think
yeah,
the only thing I'll give Switzerland is they play well against Algeria. They have the advantage of not traveling. They are playing in Vancouver. That's where Switzerland played their round 32 game against Algeria. So they have
yeah,
the benefit of not traveling and staying in Vancouver. While Colombia has to do travel all the way from Kansas to Vancouver. That's not an easy flyover. So
yeah,
that's the one of the biggest advantages I give Switzerland. And they
yeah,
played well against Algeria. I think a lot of people thought Algeria was going to make this game competitive, and Switzerland just did not let them do that. So it's gonna be a
yeah,
good game, but I just think there's so much quality, and I just think there's too much physicality on this Colombian team for Switzerland for them to not win this game. So Colombia wins this game.
yeah. I agree. I think Colombia is going to pull this out. I think it'll be competitive. I think maybe 2-1 Colombia. I think Switzerland gets underrated sometimes, but they always tend to show up and they tend to play well, especially at the World Cup. They've been in the knockout stage several times, and again, they don't have a bad squad at all. And I feel like they have one of the longest tenured coaches. I forget his name, who's coaching them, but it feels like he's always the coach of that team and he's always there. But they play the same way every tournament. They play well. And look, and Bolo at the top, Granit Xhaka, like they have some talent, and they're gonna have to rely on it against Colombia. And again, what you said about Colombia, they've had the same issue in these games, and it's that they could be winning by more goals. Like these games are low scoring, but they've had so many chances, and they just don't put the game away. They don't put the ball in the back of the net consistently. So Switzerland could win this game, but I do think it's going to be 2-1 Colombia, and I think they'll survive, and they'll ultimately get a matchup that'll again be tough, right? I think if they win, they'll play Argentina. Is that correct? Yeah.
Argentina, yeah,
Yep.
yep. So
So that'll be a good
this is
game.
how it's gonna go down. If everything go, yeah. So if we everything goes down the way we expect, we will see France, Morocco, Argentina, Colombia, Brazil. That game could go either way, but it should be Brazil,
Yeah.
England, and then we
Yep.
can see the United States, Spain, or Portugal. So we're in store for a great round of 16. If you're even if you're not a soccer fan, go watch the round 16 games. You're in store for some Peak entertainment.
Yeah, no, the quarterfinals would be fantastic. That's for sure. All right, it is time for the trivia question of the day. Getting back to the World Cup trivia, Fernando, are you ready?
All right, bring it on.
Here we go. The trivia question of the day is, which country has finished as runner-up the most times without ever winning the trophy?
The Netherlands.
And how many times? Can you tell me how many times?
Um, three.
Three times. That is correct. 1974, 1978, and 2010. Wow. There you go, Fernando.
I was between two or three, but I'm glad I chose three.
Well done. Well done. Listen, you've been cooking on the trivia. Back over 500. I'm going to have to make the questions a little bit harder next time. It's getting too easy for you. But hey, listen, I appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah,
Yep. What a great show. What a great World Cup. We're just getting continually great games, and it's been fun to watch. We'll be back once these round of 16 games get going. We'll talk about hopefully some more crazy games, some more crazy upsets, because who doesn't like upsets and Cinderella stories? Please remember to like and subscribe. Follow the Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Watch the channel. And yeah, listen, drop some questions in the comments if you want me or Fernando to answer anything. We're happy to do that. So we appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you for joining us on Keene on Sports. And Fernando, I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me, bro.
of course, man. Have a good 4th of July.
Yes, sir. You too.